All right. So let's go ahead. Good evening, everybody. Joint meeting of the Planning and Development Subcommittee, Town Council, Wednesday, December 14th, 2022, 6 p.m. It is now 6 p.m. Roll call. I am going to, let me get my pen here. Councilor Adams is present. Councilor Down.
Present.
Mike, do you mind, Councilor Marquez, do you mind sitting in?
Yep.
I can hand you over this stuff if you need it. All right. We do have a quorum. Councilor Lazo is excused, Dee is excused, and Catherine is absent. All right. Okay, so agenda item number 2, consider and accept the plan development meeting minutes of November 2nd, 2022. Just need a first and second.
Second.
First.
Make it easy.
All right. So I present them. Oh, Catherine's here. So you want to sit in still, or are you good? All right. Thank you. Hey, Catherine, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for making it.
Nice photo.
Yes.
Sounds a very light crowd.
Yeah.
Guess we're not rock stars. We're not DPW. We're rock stars here. So, all right. So we're at the meeting minutes right here. Here's.
Okay, great.
There you
Thanks.
go. Yes. All right. Any questions, discussions on it? Give you a second to look at it if you need it. All right. All those in favor? Opposed? 3-0. Agenda item number 3, consider and accept planning development meeting minutes of November 29, 2022. Asked to postpone it. I'm halfway done with them.
We'll forgive you. We know you have.
We knocked a few others out
We
today
know you
too.
have a lot of things to do.
Okay. Number 4, discuss review whether to recommend town council accept the community compact or CC information technology grant for up to $143,360 to provide an e-permitting software townwide and allow the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So,
Okay.
A second.
Okay. All right. Ms. Dean?
Yes, so this is all good news. If you recall, I came to the town council asking if we could apply for these funds to be able to potentially roll out building permit, Board of Health permits, planning board permits, potentially whomever else in the building will be offered the services and or potentially asked to get on board with the services. We'll shop for different vendors once we accept the grant and then hopefully implement it over the next year. It's all very exciting. Most importantly, I feel like this will help in situations, for instance, where someone's trying to find out information about a permit or a license. This will be there's less personality involved going forward with a service like this, where someone can look inside the software to say, this is held up because of X reason, or this is held up here, and we'll get back to you about it. So it just creates a more business-friendly environment overall.
awesome. Thank you.
We'll take a look at this. Yeah, go.
I've got it on here.
All right, Councilor Marquetti.
I was looking over this software, or the memo that you had here, and I read through it. I clicked on some of the links. My only question is, wouldn't this lead to elimination of jobs in the town hall? I mean, if people can do everything online, they don't have to come to the town hall anymore. That would be my first concern about this.
Go ahead, Ms. Dean.
So my concern is that if, say, for instance, our planner is bogged down with more planning clerk responsibilities of processing permits, would we be able to free that person up to do more of a planning function of thinking about big picture for the town? If a DPW staff is bogged down with curb cut applications, do they have less time to respond to citizen concerns coming into the office? If your executive secretary is automating their license process, would they spend less time having to chase people for paperwork and, more time with a more automated process that people could do online? So no, it's not automating jobs to eliminate jobs. it's freeing up our staff to do more customer service oriented jobs rather than vetting where permits are or processing permits.
So when I was clicking on some of your links there and I looked at it kind of led me to different areas, led me to the state's website on this software, led me to some of the other towns that have purchased this software. Town of Swansea has it. So residents can open an account, community members will be able to apply for permits from the building inspector, Board of Health, Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Highway Department, Water Department, and tax collector on this site. And it also said you would be able to come to the town hall, but there's a kiosk set up. So pretty much eliminating the need to even talk to anybody. You could do it all online or through the kiosk, from what I'm reading here at the Swansea's e-permitting software portal. My other question is, once we buy this is for 1 year, correct? And what happens next year? Do we have to pay again? Do we have to update the software? Do we have to keep paying for the software every year?
So the question of Swansea, New Hampshire's examples.
No, Swansea, Massachusetts.
Oh, Swansea, Massachusetts, okay.
I believe, maybe you're right, I thought it was Swansea, Massachusetts. Somehow,
Okay.
no, it's Massachusetts. It led me, the state's website led me to Swansea, so.
Okay, yeah, so we are not necessarily gonna model exactly after Swansea, Massachusetts. The next step is for us to figure out how this fits best for the town hall. We haven't discussed anything about kiosk, and we haven't discussed anything about tax collector. So what we will be doing in the next year, we may use other towns as potential models, but I wouldn't see us eliminating jobs by any stretch of the imagination. The question about this is purchasing it for the first year, no. This is purchasing the bones of a software, the software that then can be, then you need a license thereafter to be able to use. And if you choose not to use it in the future, you can take those bones and you can go elsewhere with it. And so it's like, if you were to buy,
It's like a website, you gotta pay every year fee in order to keep it active,
well,
no?
can you take the website with you when you go? I don't know if that's an example.
I was just wondering
But I
how
would
much,
use-
how much would it cost us every
You
year?
can,
And that will be
the
determined by.
design.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Misty.
Yes, so the prices will be determined by when we shop for softwares, what we go with. There are some that cost another 50% of what we'll be paying for the actual software. There are some that cost 15% of what we'll be paying. And there's, and there are pros and cons to that, to each of those that we'll have to decide on as a town.
All right. I'm good, thanks.
You're good, okay. Counselor Dow, you have anything?
All the time.
You're all set, Catherine?
No, I'm all set.
No. I think it's a great thing. I'm glad to see it, and it brings us further into the 21st century a little bit with the people, those that can use a computer, or whatever it may be. They get their permits right there. They don't have to come to the town hall all the time, maybe just to pick one up, or maybe it can be scanned right through them, and they can provide it to them that way. And it's just, I would hope it'd be more efficient. I know we discussed this in length last time, and one of the things we really looked at was, instead of asking the departments what they need it for, if they would like to use it, it's almost like telling them this, so everybody's on the same page. I just don't know if, a dog permit, a license, or it works that way, but I guess we'll have to find out when we get the package, when we go through. But thank you so much for bringing this in. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 3-0. All right. 5, discuss review whether to recommend town council approve full forgiveness of community development block grant housing rehab projects when a property owner turns 80 years old for existing and future deferred payment loans, or DPLs. The first or the second?
First.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Dean,
Won't be long for me, huh?
you're right around the corner.
We were monitored, which is the DHCD version of an audit, back in August, September, October for the Micro Enterprise Assistance Grant. And while I had our reps from DHCD here, I took the opportunity to talk to them about housing rehab and how we are potentially embarking on it for the next application, that I have no experience with it, that the town did it from prior years. And one of their first suggestions was, one, consider making future grant loans, their deferred payment loans that are forgiven after 15 years, forgive them in 15ths rather than every 3 years, so that people don't have to wait 3 years to get to the next level of forgiveness. That way, if they wanted to sell tomorrow, they wouldn't be held up by that. The second suggestion was forgive your elders, or find some way to forgive your elders sooner. And I thought both of them were great suggestions. For the 1/15th, we can just build that into the future application. But for the idea of the forgive the elders, we're still holding loans for people from prior year grants that I would love to be able to extend this new policy to, for anybody that's currently on the books. I think it would be a service to our elders in the community in light of the economy, if the town council would consider it.
Yep.
That's a good idea. No, it's a good idea. I have told you the story in the past where someone got one of these loans and then they had to sell the house. Then it got held up because they still held this loan over them. So I think it's a good idea. And I know that this is not exactly on this topic, but because it's a subcommittee meeting.
Yeah.
What about businesses in town that get signs? Are they required to pay back the sign if they leave? Because there have been some businesses in town who have left town, and then what happened to the sign? I don't know.
The commercial
That's a good
rehab, yeah, those deferred payment loans are just shorter, and those are a lot easier to forgive, a lot, they're not as stringent, but they do have rules that say, you're to be at the business for 5 years. If for some reason we want to take back the sign, we can, and I can provide those terms of those loans if you guys were interested in seeing the details.
I'm interested.
Yeah, isn't it, just to ask a question, doesn't that fall when you recoup some of this money from CDBG grants? That goes in your miscellaneous funds, correct? Okay. Yes.
The commercial rehab, we don't have a mechanism to lien, I don't see us getting the money back from those signs, where the money from a loan that appreciates a home, when they sell and you lien the house, those are, that's an easier mechanism. But again, in the vein of we're just trying to help our residents, I don't think we're in it for the money ever, right? These were not our funds in the first place. We're only getting these funds because we are a pass-through from HUD to the state to be able to help low moderate income residents.
I got another question. Maybe I'm missing something here. 80, right? 80 years old. Why not 70? I mean, I just don't, maybe I'm missing that. Yeah, go ahead.
So you came in late to the public hearing, but we, in relation to that comment that Councilor Marquetti had, we talked at length about how we want to incentivize people to stay in their houses and not take advantage of the house appreciating. So you want to strike a balance between helping low moderate income residents, encouraging them to be able to stay in their home, be able to afford to stay in their home, but at the same time you don't want to allow them to do improvements to sell, to gain the appreciation and be able to walk.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Because those funds are not meant for that. It's meant to improve their safety in their home.
Councilor Dow?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me. When you say 80, let's say the husband died and the wife stay in the house, and that forgiveness already given to the person because the husband will continue with the wife, or no, she will lose it to when she turns 80 and when she got it back. I'm not sure if I understand right.
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Dean. That's a good question.
So the way it works is, so the loan is with the husband, is with a person. If they die, an immediate family member is allowed to live in the home, and the loan remains. So the lien is transferred to the immediate family member, and the loan stays with the immediate family member until it's forgiven. In the situation of then that person turns 80, then the loan goes away.
So when you give the husband the forgiveness because it's 80, or the wife, either or, and the second person is not 80 yet, will
Doesn't-
go back at the beginning of the contra, or will continue the forgiveness because that gentleman already took, will continue?
Go ahead.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
No, I know what you're
So
saying.
if that's
Does it
the
revert back
person-
over to him?
No,
Okay.
no, it's the person who's taking out the loan, if they turn 80, that loan is, that lien is terminated.
Okay.
It's not transferred, it's not anything. It won't revert back to the other person.
Oh. Mr. Senior?
Is there a provision that allows somebody to request a loan forgiveness before the age of 80?
Yes.
Okay.
So if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So we have a, it's a policy for when there are extenuating circumstances that says someone can appeal to the Economic Development Department asking for forgiveness for some reason. We review the file. If we don't approve it, they have the right to then go above me to the town manager, and then it's the final answer is with the town manager.
So somebody that's, say, 70 years old, lost their significant other, their financial situation changed, they could request a waiver of the loan or the forgiveness of the loan, and that would be up to you guys.
Yes, and we try very hard to keep a precedent. We don't like to be unfair in any situation, and so we toe a very strict line about when, if ever, we were to give a forgiveness. Or if we were to ever extend a forgiveness under any other circumstances, because it's already a very generous program.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? All's in favor? Opposed? 3-0. All right. Number 6, discuss review transfer request for $240 from, I'm assuming account number 001180 TAC 530000 Economic Development Specialized Services to account number 00118054, TAC 54200 Economic Development Supplies, fund the expense of surveilling Capillo Park and McCann Fields in FY23, and entertain a motion to recommend the council and authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Steen?
So, as I mentioned in the memo, it was discussed between the DPW and our department during the last budget season that there would be a need for this to be funded. We didn't know the exact amount because we didn't know exactly when the install was going to happen. In the end, neither of us ended up putting it in our budget. And so I've asked Rec and Police which one they see as more appropriate to fund it in the future, and we'll make sure that it gets funded in some budget next year. But in the moment, we have extra funds that if we could just transfer from one line item to the other, we'd be happy to do that. If you were to ever take that suggested 3% or 5,000 transfer into consideration as a charter change, this would be an example of our line items are so small that even a $240 transfer would need to go before the town council for request.
Go ahead. Anybody? Yeah, Councilor Marquetti.
I don't understand what this is all about. What's a SIM? A SIM card goes into it, something? What? Just
Sure.
explain it to me, that's all.
Sure. So a SIM card holds data, and like when you get a cell phone, you have a little SIM card in it, and that SIM card really is it's the computer inside your personal data computer inside the bigger computer. You need a SIM card to be able to provide the cell service, and so we would get a SIM card with unlimited data that we then put in the camera that allows the cell service to be able to allow for the internet connection, for that to be able to be tracked by the police and running at all times.
Okay. So, the other thing that I don't understand is what park is this? Like last night it was softball, now it's Little League. Which Who's
So you
running
got the,
Who's covering the park?
so the
That's all I-
Capilla Park is obviously the BMX skateboard.
Yeah,
And also the basketball court in that area.
Okay.
And then I think you have cameras looking for the trail going down as well. But then we're talking about McCann Field, which is going to be. Are you covering the entire area, or is
As
it
far
just
as we're all concerned, yes.
okay? That
So
whole huge
softball,
park,
Little League and skateboard, all being,
and the basketball courts, and the handball court, and the
Alright.
playground.
all right, so the
So,
only,
yeah,
and
security.
the only one that's gonna be in charge of these SIM cards are who? The police? The
So-
softball league, the Little League?
If I may through you, Chair, security issues are typically only discussed in executive session, and so we don't want to discuss too much, and so that's why I'm keeping this as vague as possible. It is the police that will be in charge of the SIM card.
Okay,
I believe the police do almost all that.
all right.
Yeah,
So we
I
wanna
think
know.
that's their requirement.
Yep.
Because even when we do the Veterans Park, the parks, we're going to put cameras over there as well. So and they'd be responsible, but I think we'd be able to pull the software as well as the Veterans Council. So I think that's the plan. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll figure it out. Any other questions? I think it's a great idea. Maybe we should have them all at parks. But have you thought about just using ARPA money?
$240?
I'm just saying for maybe a couple years.
I
You have until 2026.
I have not.
Okay, I'm just asking. All right. Would you rather?
No, my opinion is that because it's going to be an ongoing expense, that you should build it into the budget.
Got it. All right, any other questions? All's in favor? Opposed? Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
First.
Everybody wants to leave?
I'll first.
All right.
Hey, going to APA, did you guys still considering a signboard?
Yes, just haven't got to it. But it's digital sign is on my calendar all the time, just to follow up on it. And I think we came out to it was about $90,000 for a signboard. So a digital sign.
And I'd just like to see you get one before you spend it all.
I wanna turn the camera on.
Yeah. All those in favor for the adjournment? Opposed? 3-0. All right.